Hello and welcome to the first instructional video on how to use your iPad. This one is a basic introduction to your iPad and some of its features. More detailed videos will follow on some of the specific features. This one will mainly give you an introduction to some of the high-level steps and the vocabulary that I'll be using in future videos. First, let's start with the buttons. Here on the top, you have the button I'll be referring to as the top button. You have your headphones plug-in right here. On the side, you have volume adjustment and a lock button. This allows you to lock the iPad so it doesn't turn. Like if you notice when you flip it on its side, it'll flip the screen. If you don't want it to do that, you can set that button up to lock it. On the bottom here is how you charge it. And then on the bottom of the front is a button I'll be referring to as the home button. This iPad right now is sitting in portrait mode, and this I will be referring to as landscape mode. This is probably the most useful mode for you to be in, and it's the mode the iPad will be in for the remainder of this video. First, I'd like to go over some of the apps that are provided by Zodiac with your iPad. Number one is Goodreader here. This is a file system browser. It is also a PDF viewer, and it can be used to view Word documents and Excel documents as well. It does not edit, however. Pages is for viewing and editing Word documents. Numbers is for viewing and editing Excel documents. Keynote is for giving presentations, PowerPoint presentations. You can also edit through it. And Settings is also a useful feature I will go into in more detail later. One of the things I want to go over is some basic troubleshooting. It's worth noting that when we open up an application, then we can leave the application by pressing the home button and go back to our home screen. The application doesn't actually close, it just minimizes. This is very handy because you can quickly get back to exactly where you were and not have to go through the steps of opening the document again. However, if you're beginning to have problems with a document, the best thing to do is to first close the application entirely and try opening it back up again. The way you do that is starting from the home screen, double touch the home button, and you get a list of the applications that are currently running in the background. You can see Goodreader, the one I was just in, is here, as well as Settings and Keynote, and actually there's a whole bunch of them if you want to scroll over. Now let's say I was having a problem with Goodreader. I can touch here on Goodreader, and you'll notice the icons start to shake. That means they're ready to be removed from the screen, and you can see the little minus sign that comes up here. That will not delete the application, it will only close it. So I can go ahead and close this one here, and I can close a few more if I want to. Or it can just exit out of it if it wants to. Let's go back, try it again. Let's close Settings, let's close Keynote, close Numbers, and then single touch the home button to make them stop shaking. Touch it one more time to go back to your home screen. Now I can go ahead and open up Goodreader one more time. You can see it takes a little longer to open because it was actually closed, but it opens up completely and it actually goes back to where I was, this time with the menus up. And you're good to start working again. If that didn't fix the problem, the next step in troubleshooting would be to shut the iPad off completely and try turning it back on again. In the same way that the iPad does not close an application completely, when you go ahead and hit the top button here to put it to sleep, it just puts it to sleep. It's not off. So the way to turn it off completely is to hit and hold both the top and the home button simultaneously. We're going to wait for a few seconds here, and it'll come up with a little slider here, slide to power off. Go ahead and do that, and it'll wait for a few seconds as it's shutting down. In order to turn it back on again, you hold down the top button, and you have to hold it for a few seconds. You can see the app will come up that indicates that it's working on starting up. This will take a few seconds, don't worry. If you have multiple applications that are not functioning properly, or you have an application that's not functioning properly and closing the application didn't fix it, this will most of the time fix the problem. If you have any more problems, you can always call the help desk at 3333 and we'll be glad to help you out. The next thing I would like to discuss is how to move icons around your home screen. You can see the icons are laid out here, and we actually have two home screens. And the icons are laid out in just sort of a haphazard fashion. If you want to personalize this, you have that option. Now also note, the 5 icons down on the bottom, they don't move when we flip between home screens. Those are always accessible, which is a nice feature, and you can also add icons down there if you want. The way to do this is you tap on an icon and you hold. Now you notice all the icons are shaking, just like in the way we closed an application. Here, they're shaking with a little X at the top. You don't want to push this X, because what will happen is it'll ask you to delete the application. This is the way you remove an application entirely. Of course, we don't want to do that. So we'll go ahead and hit cancel. However, we can move an application to another location just by dragging it over. Or we could even put it down at the bottom if you want your calculator to always be accessible. And you can get it quickly. There you go. You can see I have my email, my web browser, iBooks, notes, and the iPod down here. And we can also take one out, take the calculator and put it back up here again. You can also move them home screen to home screen. You can see little dots down here. This indicates that I'm on the second screen. And you can see that the third screen is completely empty. If you got a lot of applications, you could fill that one, but I like to keep it down to 2 just to keep myself from flipping back and forth. If we wanted to take the converter here and we wanted to move it to the next screen over, we could just drag it to the edge real carefully, and there you go. And the same way, we can go ahead and move it back. The way to make them stop shaking is just to go ahead and hit the button. There's one last feature that I'd like to discuss in this video, and that's one of the settings, one that I think you'll find particularly useful. If you look at the top left here, you can see that I have a Verizon emblem, Verizon name here, and then I've got the signal strength just to the left of it, indicating that I have a 3G connection. I also have to the right of that the little indicator that I'm connected to Wi-Fi. That's great, but of course when you're traveling on an airplane, you need to shut those radios off, and this is how to do it. It's actually really easy. If you go into settings, the little gears icon, the very top setting is airplane mode. It's got a little switch here. You just go ahead and slide it on, and we can exit out of settings. And you notice at the top left hand corner there is an airplane instead of the signal strength indicators. All the radios are now shut off. You can go ahead and work on an airplane without worrying about it crashing. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and for more information on all these programs, see you next in the video series. Thanks.